let's embark on another fascinating journey. Here's Lilian Garcia.
Welcome, everybody, to Chasing Glory. I'm so excited to be here because it is going to be a very, very impactful show today. I say that every week, and every week, without fail, my guests are really pouring their hearts out there, and they're being very vulnerable, and today is no different. Ladies and gentlemen, today our guest is Charlotte Flair.
Woohoo!
Wow. Yes, that is Sean Gosser in the booth, already doing his woo. Ric Flair's daughter. Yeah, it's huge today because this is the queen, right? This is the queen of wrestling. If you guys follow her, you've seen what a ride that she's been on, but also it's tough coming. You know, the daughter of Ric Flair, I think that people that are not even into wrestling know who this guy is, right? I mean, Ric Flair is just so big. And, you know, he was recently in the hospital. It was all over the news. Thank God he pulled through. And now, you know, the daughter's stepping into a business that he really conquered and how hard that's been. But she just and her father, they just released a book together. It's called Second Nature, The Legacy of Ric Flair and the Rise of Charlotte. It is phenomenal. It is crazy how vulnerable they are in this book, how they really shared a lot. I mean, they did. They were talking about peeling back the curtain. They totally peeled back the curtain and talking about an emotional interview that I had with her. She was just in Buenos Aires. She got on the plane after this and just, you know, it's fresh. It's just raw. It's incredible. So to set all of that up, let me just tell you guys to make sure that you follow me on social media at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter. Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. Make sure that you guys subscribe to Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.com or the brand new Podcast One app. We always talk about you guys please rating, reviewing, and you know, and giving us the 5 stars. And that's because it is really important to the show. We're trying to really spread this out there so that the show gets to more listeners because it has made such a difference. Everybody who listens to the show then tweets me. And then also the reviews that I'm getting on the podcast, it's crazy. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I am moved by this. And now because this person shared this story, it's making me look at life differently. It's making me have an outlet where I know that I'm not the only one that's going through these struggles. And that's what it's all about. It's helping each other out. Something before we get into Charlotte's interview. First of all, I do want to thank the New York Jets for inviting me again to sing the national anthem. Incredible day. I mean, incredible. I actually hold the record for singing the most times at the New York Jets, which is...
The Jets love you.
I know. It's so crazy. I love them. I love them. I've sang there for 12 times. And
wow.
Yeah.
Did they win the game?
No, but it was so close. It was against the Patriots. I mean, Super Bowl champions from last year. They went into it 3-2, both of them. So it was like... All right, who's going to, you know...
They are doing much better than people expected. They are the little brother in that division to the Patriots.
And let's not talk about that one call that I was really upset about. Everybody was upset. You saw that call, right?
Yeah.
What touchback? What? I was literally in the stands like a screaming fan. Like, that was me. I'm like, no way. I know that they say that the game is not won on one call, but let me just say that I had a lot of Patriots fans that were sitting right in front of me, and we were in the green box up above, and I don't know why they put so many Patriot fans in front of us. I have no idea who scores who does that, but they even turned around to us and they were like, what? Yeah, you guys kind of got robbed on that one. Okay, so I do agree that a game is not won by one play, but there was momentum. There was momentum that was going in from that moment. And momentum got just like, it does take the wind out of things. And it's like one of these things where people go, wait, just let it be fair.
Yep.
Just let it be fair.
Constant referee controversy.
Come on.
They made them full-time this year, and that was supposed to be the big change, is they're full-time employees, and they really know the rules, and they really know what they're doing now. But nope.
Oh, my God. And the thing is that they were actually showing the replay in the stands. And so when they were showing the replay, we were all seeing what the ref was reviewing. So we were like, oh, no, okay, he fumbled. I mean, when you say he fumbled, it never hit the ground. Like, it just got loose in his arm, and then he had it secure, right? And so when they said they came back, and then he said, and he fumbled it again, we're like, what? What did you see that we didn't see? Because
they're overanalyzing. You know, they got the technology to do it, so they're looking at milliseconds. And they're like, oh, nope, wait, nope, right there. Hey, that millisecond.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But anyway, so it was a close game. Everybody stayed to the end. It wasn't, getting out of the parking lot was something else. But it was awesome that everybody stayed. You know, it was just great not to have one of those games where everybody just left. But what I love too is that everybody did put aside everything with controversies or, whether you're protesting or not. And it actually was so beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see this back. I actually posted this on my website. I believe it's up there. If you guys want to see it. On my website, LilianGarcia.com, you can actually see the performance. But all the Patriot players were right in front of me. The Jets were in the back, so I couldn't see them. But I heard that they all linked arms. And all the Patriot players put their arms around each other, which was so beautiful. I've got pictures, actually, from the back of them to me. And it was just a moment where everyone came together. And that's so important because our world and our culture and what's going on right now, it's just so divided that I personally feel, but I come from a military family, so I personally feel like if you're going to start using the national anthem to protest, that means we're always going to have somebody kneeling, because no matter whether it's a Democrat in office or a Republican in office or whatever, there's always going to be somebody that's protesting something. So now that means that, let's say there is a Democrat in office, then you'll have probably some people from the right side that are going to be protesting something, so they'll kneel or whatever. It's just, to me, it's a sacred place. I feel like it should be off limits to all of that. There's other ways to protest, and it should be a moment where we all come together, because, boy, do we need that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the national anthem in itself was, a moment for everybody to stand as Americans. It's just one unifying moment.
Yeah. That's how
I understand that they're using their platform because, that's where they, these guys, they only get to talk to the media, before, after the game, and they're just answering questions. And I get that they may see that this is maybe their only opportunity to make a large impact. And, whether you agree with it, disagree with it, it's gotten a conversation going, and that I can respect. I just want everybody to put everything aside for a second
too.
And just appreciate that we're Americans and that we live in a free country and we get to express our feelings, and that's what being American is being allowed, being entitled to your own opinion and being allowed to express your opinion, and that's what people are doing. So some people don't like it, some people like it, but I'm happy to see that people are coming together.
Yeah.
Regardless, people are, like that one weekend, I think every team did some kind of display.
Right.
So it's good to see that at least people are trying to move forward.
Yeah. I remember that in our interview with Titus ONeil last week, he mentioned how he will never be part of any kind of protest whatsoever. He said because they don't work. He goes, he gets into his communities. I mean, we listen to that.
No, yeah. He's actually out there infecting,
wow.
public. I can really respect that.
I can too. And it made me realize, like, yeah, if you want to see real change, you got to get into your communities and really get in there and try to make a difference that way, So I applaud him for that. And it showed me, more ways that I can be impactful. So, but it did, like I said, I'm just at that point where, I turn on the news and my stomach is in a knot, and it really is affecting me daily. I feel more sad than I have in a really long time. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, God, I need to be around with friends, and I need unity. That's what I realized. I need happiness. It's just getting really, really heavy. And speaking of heavy, yes, this is a very heavy emotional interview that we're about to listen to, but it's also so impactful. It's incredible what you guys are about to hear and what Charlotte really pours out. And I know that there is someone out there that is going to get something so big out of this. It's going to change their life. And that's what makes me so excited to share this. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is Charlotte Flair's journey of chasing glory. Ashley Elizabeth Flair was bred to be a queen. Born and raised in North Carolina, she excelled in athletics, including winning a national championship in all-star cheerleading, and also led her volleyball team in back-to-back state championships and was even named Player of the Year. After high school, she accepted a full volleyball scholarship to Appalachian State University before she transferred to North Carolina State University, where she obtained a bachelor's degree in public relations. After watching her younger brother Reid pursue pro wrestling, Ashley caught the bug and was signed to the WWE and reported to NXT in 2012. In 2013, tragedy struck the Flair family when Reid suddenly passed away. Ashley Flair vowed to continue the Flair legacy by dedicating her entire pro wrestling career to her late brother. And that summer, she made her NXT debut, where she was appropriately named Charlotte. The following year, Charlotte would compete for the vacant NXT Women's Championship, where she and Natalya would tear the house down, and delivered a Match of the Year candidate where she won the championship for the very first time. In the summer of 2015, Charlotte played an integral part in the Women's Revolution, where she, along with her fellow horsewomen, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, made their main roster debut and changed the landscape of the women's division forever. At Night of Champions, Charlotte ended Nikki Bella's record-breaking Divas Championship reign. At WrestleMania 32, Charlotte made history by stealing the show, where she defeated Sasha and Becky in a triple threat match for the new WWE Women's Championship. Throughout the year, she would continue to make history when her and Sasha Banks main evented a pay-per-view, which marked the very first time women had achieved such an accomplishment, which also was the first time women competed inside a Hell in a Cell. Earlier this year, Charlotte was traded to SmackDown Live, where she would become the first woman to ever main event a Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-view, as well as competed in the inaugural Women's Money in the Bank. Charlotte has also appeared on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, as well as being named one of Sports Illustrated Top 50 Fittest Women Athletes. She made her video game debut in WWE 2K17, and most recently, along with her legendary Hall of Fame father, published Second Nature, The Legacy of Ric Flair and the Rise of Charlotte. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Charlotte Flair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited because Charlotte Flair is in the house. Welcome to Chasing Glory. Yay!
Yes, thank you for having me, Lilian.
Oh, this is amazing. I've wanted you on this for so long, and your schedule is so crazy, and it's so crazy that, in fact, I caught you. You're in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and here you are on Chasing Glory. It's awesome.
No, I just really wanted to be on your podcast, and being able to relax in my room and talk to you in Buenos Aires is great.
Yeah,
to be honest.
The power of freaking Skyping, and it's incredible. We can be a world away, and here we are connected together. And I've been just so excited to talk to you, especially since your book came out. Now I'm going to definitely go into that. Second Nature, it is the legacy of Ric Flair and the rise of Charlotte. So proud of it. How do you feel ever since you wrote this book, and ever since it's come out this month?
Yeah, it really hasn't sunk in, because everyone is like, how does it feel that you're an author now? And I don't really look at it as being an author, because, you know, the process took almost 2 years with Brian Shields. And when we first started on it, the phone conversations just weren't, you know, cutting it. So I had to do a lot of journaling. So I just felt as if I was writing in my diary for a year and a half. And then my diary got leaked. And then I'm like, ooh,
oh my God,
it's out there. But I feel, you know, once it was launched on the 19th, I feel like a huge weight was, you know, lifted off my chest. And I feel, I want to say like a new person. I know that sounds cliche, but I do. I just feel more lighthearted, and I don't have this, you know, heavy burden that I carried with me of guilt and embarrassment and just, I guess, ashamed, really.
You know, it's amazing how people think that being vulnerable is weak, but actually putting your vulnerabilities out there and your stories out there is a huge, powerful thing to do. And like you said, now you just feel this weight that has come off. Out of all the things that you revealed in your book, what was the hardest and what's the happiest, like the one that you go, thank God it's out there?
Honestly, and I don't know why, admitting that I've been divorced twice. Only because, one, I'm a hopeless romantic. Two, most people didn't know like what my first marriage was like, and then my second marriage, and owning up to those mistakes. But for some reason, I was just so embarrassed that I couldn't make those work. I almost felt like I failed. And then, you know, a couple of coworkers that I'm really close to didn't even know. Like, even I was at lunch with someone on this trip to Buenos Aires, and we were talking about boys and going on a date, and I was like, not with that person, but I was like, well, I've been married twice. How do you bring that up in a conversation on a first date? Like, people might look at me like I'm crazy, and they were like, you've been married twice? And I was like, exactly. Just how you reacted and responded.
Right.
So like, that was just like, not that I was hiding it from people at work, but I just never had to talk about it.
Right.
So that just like being out there is just like, yes, I've been, and I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it really does. So it's like, there, I've been married twice. I can't change it, but I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now.
And what is it that you've learned? Because, you know, I look at things that happen in our lives, and I always, I don't know whether it's, I guess it's my parents, people around me. I really try to find the silver linings in it, right? Because if you don't, you can make yourself crazy. What would you say are the silver linings to the fact that you were married twice, and now that you've, you know, talked about it, what is the biggest silver lining from all of that?
Well, there's the obvious things like, one, I was so young. Two, I wasn't ready. I didn't have a career. You know, everyone can tell you, you know, you should wait to figure out who you are. But I felt like I knew everything, and kind of as if I was on my own when my first marriage in my 20s. And then when I met Tom in developmental, he was just, you know, a great guy, but I learned that nothing has to be as committed as marriage. I just, one, it's about loving yourself first and knowing who you are as a person, and not finding, you know, learning about codependency. I was codependent in my first marriage. And then with Tom, I was going from one relationship to another out of loneliness. And yes, a lot of things happened when I was married with Tom, like my brother dying, which was a whole nother, you know, mentally changing event or life-changing event. But it was, I could not be in a relationship until I know who I was in either.
Right.
And unfortunately, I made those mistakes, but I had a lot of growing to do between 20 and 30. Like, I still think I have a lot of growing to do, but no, now I won't accept things. Like, it's getting what you deserve and not accepting bad behavior or thinking it's because you're doing something wrong, or, you know, listen to what people say, not what they do. I mean, there's so many different life lessons I could go on about, but it's more just figuring out who I am and what Ashley likes and what she needs, and not needing a man, and, you know, finding, you know, strength and power in being alone. Like, I could never be alone, or I never told myself that, but it was just, you know, I've been, you know, single now for 2.5 years, and it's been great getting to know who I am. But back then I would have never thought that was possible. And in that process, I've, you know, had this amazing career so far.
Yes, you have. And we will definitely touch on that. Let me go back, because a lot of things happen, obviously, you know, while we're growing up. Things get, you know, our behaviors, or we are a product of our environment, our parents, or, you know, all of that. So obviously we all know that you were born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, or just North Carolina?
Just Charlotte, yep.
Just Charlotte. There you go. You are the real thing. I love it.
Born and raised.
I love it. So, you know, you talk about in your book how you didn't grow up in poverty. You know, you grew up with what other people would consider the silver spoon, right? And of course, people think that money is everything, and that means you've got everything because you don't have to struggle. But that wasn't really the case, was it?
No, and maybe having money masked a lot of things, or didn't prepare me for the real world. Not that my mom and dad weren't, you know, great parents and provided me with a wonderful education, and, you know, I was able to play sports and play on club teams. But when I got to college after my dad left, that first, well, really entire college was figuring out how to be a grown-up and how to take care of myself and how to provide for myself, when not that my parents didn't teach me those lessons, but maybe I just didn't learn them or make that a priority. And that's why, you know, it's unfortunate what I went through with both my exes, or what I went through in my 20s. But I don't know, had I continued just to be taken care of, would I be where I am today? Like, I had to grow through all of that.
Yeah, I can see that that happens to a lot of kids, actually, that do grow up in an environment where, you know, financial is not really the problem. You know, not the need. They don't necessarily then know, oh my gosh, how do I provide for myself? Because if you're being given everything, then you kind of expect, like, that's the rest of your life. That's what's going to happen, right? So how did it affect you? And I know, you know, you talk about your marriages. Does it also bother you because your dad was married 4 times? Do you kind of associate that? Is that something that you fear, that people think that you're going to be going down the same path, or did that affect you growing up? I can't say it affected me growing up, because my mom and dad were married, I think, for almost 27 years. Mm-hmm. So obviously, you know, he didn't leave till I was graduating high school. But when I first started in this industry, and you know, understanding what dirt sheets are, and being in the public eye, and being available to public scrutiny through social media, you know, people making fun of me being just like my dad really got to me. Because, you know, by the time I had gotten to WWE, he had been married 4 times. So, yeah, it really bothered me, because obviously I couldn't, you know, I don't like to give negativity life or respond, but I always looked at what people were saying, and I just wanted to be like, but you don't know why or what I went through, or, you know, I'm not making
like my dad's situation is completely different than my situation.
I agree. You can't put everything in one basket. Yeah. You can't. And, I have seen people, I mean, I was in a marriage, and I myself, it was wild. I was with a wonderful man, but just not in love. And that's even a harder thing in a way, because you're like, why am I going to let this marriage go if this guy's treating me so well? It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
But you were in a marriage, but I wasn't happy, what I think. But you're in a marriage where you're part of, being abused. And that cannot be easy. I mean, we've heard everything that's been going on with Harvey Weinstein and the casting couch, and what women have had to be, or they felt they had to be subjected to, right? And I've spoken to other friends who have been in a marriage or a relationship that did get abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive. You seem like you are, well, we see the Charlotte, right? The strong, powerful woman. So what was going through your mind when that was happening? That you just you were okay with giving him another chance?
So this was really kind of my main purpose of being so open in the book, was to talk about that. At that time, it was normal. Like, when you're in that environment and when someone becomes your drug, that's what my first husband was to me. Now that I'm out of it and I've, have seen a counselor and worked on myself, everything seems normal. But what's not normal is the highs and the lows, and how you feel about yourself depends on how that person that you're with feels about you that day. And with someone who has, aggressive mannerisms or issues that you can't put your emotions on. He was also an addict. Mm-hmm. So at that time, I just thought it was normal. Like, when you're told, well, it's your fault. If you hadn't gotten mad at me, I wouldn't gotten mad at you. And when you just hear that over and over, you kind of believe it. Or if someone tells you you're stupid over and over, you start to believe it. Also, it's you taking ownership for someone else's problems, and you can't do that. You can't make them change. You can't, at that time we were young, and he'd had family issues as well. And I was constantly trying to make up for those. But when in reality, we both were just in unhealthy situations. And I kept thinking, well, maybe, if I looked a certain way or acted a certain way, or maybe if I did this better, he wouldn't, do X, Y, Z, but it really had nothing to do with me. So I was just continuing to make excuses.
Yeah.
And when you're in a codependent relationship like that, you're listening to what the person says, but even though they do something else, you can't do that. Like, oh, I'm sorry, it will never happen again. And that's not really how it is if the behavior never changes.
Yeah, I can see that. So what would you say then to women that find themselves in the same exact situation that you were in?
Well, you isolate yourself. I isolated myself, and it's a matter of reaching out to friends and family and really just knowing that you deserve better. I kept thinking, like, I can make this work, or it's, no matter what he did, I continue to tell myself, oh, I'll never find anyone like him, or but I'm so attracted to him, or who's going to want me now? It's the negative dialogue in your mind.
Yeah.
And even though I knew going to Tampa in my mind was scary, and I questioned myself every day, and I would cry to one of my friends and be like, am I doing the right thing? Is he going to leave me? I just ended up going, and I don't know why, but maybe that was just out of desperation. Or maybe I had hit my rock bottom, because my rock bottom I did talk about in the hospital, or in the book, was being in the hospital with my friend's mom. And that was rock bottom, like lying to them about what happened.
Yeah.
Like, even to this day, I still have doubt, like, a doubt about what went on during that time. But that had to have been my rock, and everyone's rock bottom is different,
Of course.
I believe, but that was mine, because like 3 or 4 months later, I was headed to Tampa. So that obviously was my rock bottom, whether I wanted to admit it or not. But it's never, to tell women it's never too late to change. Yeah, I made another mistake when I got to Tampa and, got into another relationship right away. But, you know what? Now looking back on it, if that's what it took for me to get out of the cycle that I was in, then that's what happened.
Yeah. Sometimes you do need that. Sometimes you need something to help you get out of a situation, and it's because you were beating down so badly, right, that you're not 100% strong enough to stand on your own, so you depend on and you lean on someone else. And, that's what your second husband probably was. And that's okay, because in the end, you surviving and you getting healthy is the number one thing. However it takes, whatever, action it takes, you can't beat yourself up about that.
No, and I just I think too is knowing what my character has become in WWE programming. If I could just let people know that I don't feel that way every day. Like, I created this character that I want to be in my real life, that I want to be, strong, confident, intelligent, independent. That's what I needed in my real life. But if people could know, I was living in an apartment with him in Raleigh, and we had, I think, $500 a week for groceries and our dogs and everything we needed. But my dad helped me pay for school, and he was working at the vet. It was just the environment I was in and what my life was like then to now. I still, to this day, is this real? Because it was just so different.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but how I felt about myself and how much I obviously hated myself and didn't love myself. No one should have to go through that. No one should have to be in a relationship where they're not treated right. No one deserves that.
No one does. Absolutely not.
No.
And that's why we're speaking
And another
today,
thing is, if it's not you, it's going to be the next person.
True.
Because I think a lot of the fear is, well, I can change them, or, what if they marry somebody else and they treat them, like a princess, and why wouldn't they do that to me? It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. Yeah. And that's what I think so many women struggle with, because me every day, it's me. Whether it's I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, or if I had this or that, or if I did this that day, or it has nothing to do with any of those things.
Right.
It's about that person. I think that's what's so hard to understand.
Yeah, but that's very powerful that you're talking about it, because like I said, hopefully there's, someone that's listening to this that's in that situation that goes, oh my gosh, everything she says is making sense, and now I can feel like I can start to get out of the situation.
Yes.
And it is, happens to be Domestic Violence Month. So I know that you're going to be doing something, posting on Monday. What is it? What is it that you're going to be doing for that cause?
I will be painting my ring finger purple, and it's called "Put a Nail in It," and it's just supporting men and women who have been in abusive relationships and speaking out.
That's great.
Because, domestic violence is, even I kind of cringe when I hear the word, because it's not something that, is easily spoken about.
Right.
People don't like to talk about it. And like I told you before we started the podcast, it was something that I was very much not sure if I wanted to talk about it for the 1.5 to 2 years that I was working on the book, just because it is so, I'm trying to think of the word.
Well, I know
a sensitive topic.
Yeah. You were saying that you felt ashamed.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I'm so glad that you did talk about it, because I hope that you see the outpour of support that you're getting. Everyone's talking about how strong you are because you talked about it, and the platform that you have, that you can make some real change, and the fact, like you said, it has nothing to do with you, and therefore this isn't something that you should be ashamed. It was done to you. Now, I had told you even before the podcast had started that I was going to share something that I've never even talked about it, but it did spark something, that I was in a situation where I was actually dating this guy. It was very early on dating him, and he was over at my apartment, and luckily my roommate was in the back, and he and I were watching some show on TV, and all of a sudden he starts just coming on, and I mean strong, to me, and I kept telling him, stop. And he was a guy who lifted weights and all. He's very, very strong. The more I kept telling him, hey, no, I'm not comfortable with this. Get off. It was so strong that all of a sudden this fear came over me where I'm like, holy crap, am I about to get raped here? And I screamed out, and I thank God that my roommate was there, and she came out. And then this guy took off. I never saw him again. And sure enough, during that time, I was too scared to do anything about it. So I didn't say anything to anybody. And I wish I would have, because I really hope to God that nobody was further in his path that he did this to. So I wanted to talk about that. And you're giving me the courage to do that. And I want to thank you for that. Because I want to talk about that, to tell her, if that happens to you, man, put a nail in that coffin and talk about it, turn them into somebody to stop that pattern.
Yeah. I want to say more that we can talk about these things out loud and not feel like it's almost like you said you were scared to say something.
Yeah.
It's almost because that person makes you feel scared.
Right.
So it's knowing that they can't do anything to you anymore. Mm-hmm. And the right thing is to speak out, because it's not okay. And I think that's, why more women don't speak out, because they're still scared.
And they're scared someone's not going to believe them.
Yes.
Or, like you said, what did you do to attract this? Did you wear a skimpy dress, or were you looking for it? And I'm like, oh my God, that does not give you the right to do anything, right? So
like on the flip side, that's kind of how it is. Well, I wouldn't have done that if you you made me do this.
Yeah.
That, you saying them coming on to you because of, well, maybe you dressed, a certain way, and that opened the door, or in both these situations, there's still a manipulative way to make it feel like it's your fault.
Right.
And that, I think that's what some women who don't speak out still feel.
So your dad actually has said that he feels like he will never get a prize or a award or whatever for being dad of the year or dad, the best dad ever. What is it? Is it because he feels like he was just so into, wrestling and all that he wasn't there for you guys? And when this happened, did you tell him, or was it just now with the book that he actually found out?
I think my dad says that more because he was on the road so much when my older brother and sister were growing up. And not that it relates to me, but I think he feels a lot of guilt for my brother that passed away.
Yeah.
So when he says, I won't get an award for being dad of the year, his relationship with the three of them is completely different than ours. And obviously having the opportunity to be in the same business as him the last couple of years has even made us even closer than we already were.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, he gave us this amazing life growing up. So how can I judge him for his decisions or, him being married? I don't know. It's not my place.
Right.
Like with me and my dad's relationship, I don't judge him. He doesn't judge me, but it's not something that I actively went to him and said, this is going on. I don't think really anyone knew.
Which makes it even harder.
There's a few people knew, but my biggest thing, and if women have been in a similar situation, is you actually end up protecting that guy.
Yeah.
So anytime I thought that my dad was mad or upset with us or upset with him, I would protect him and make him look like he was perfect.
I hear you. That is very common.
Yeah. So if we did have a big fight and I actually, for instance, would tell my mom, I would actually end up, asking my mom to do nice things for him.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
Because I was trying to fix the situation.
Yeah.
So I don't think really anyone except maybe 5 people really knew what was going on, but no one was going to stop me. I mean, like I said, it was a decision that I had to make on my own.
Yeah. I mean, and in a sense, that gave you more power, for sure. Now, you've talked also about how you've grown up with some insecurities. Where do you think, because, I mean, here you are, you actually win the national championship in all-star cheerleading. You are on a volleyball team where you actually make the player of the year. I mean, you've had a lot of accomplishments, and definitely you can tell your athleticism. I mean, that is just in you. Where do you think the insecurities have come in?
Oh, I wish I knew. I mean, I wish I could just, wave a magic wand and make them all go away. But I mean, even to this day, I still have oof, do I look okay in my gear? Should I go to a one piece? Or, I wish I was small. I mean, that's, happens when you're, in the entertainment industry and you're on television.
And you're not alone in that. You're not alone. Like, how many of us in the locker room would be like, I don't feel good today. Yeah. Oh, my God, my hair is not good. Oh, I look so dry. Or, you're not alone.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't know I don't know if it's because I never felt like I fit in. But now I do. Where I am right now. I do believe this is where I'm supposed to be all along, but I didn't grow up wanting to be, in sports entertainment.
It's funny you say that because I remember seeing you. I mean, you and I go way back, right?
Yeah, I know.
I remember you watching your dad, and here I was ring announcing, and you'd be in the front row and just so giddy watching him. And yet, you and I would have conversation. I'm like, so do you see yourself ever doing this? And you're like, no. Like you were.
But no, I was giddy for my dad, but not. I don't know. I mean, I know like boys can be boys when you're growing up, and whether it was like making fun of like my long arm hair or calling me a beast or because I was taller than the boys growing up, you know, I don't know, but for some reason I just took it harder than others.
Yeah.
I don't know where the low self-esteem came in, because I also, when I think of my freshman year of college, like I don't remember feeling low self-esteem. I don't. I mean, I don't think thought twice about what I was going to eat before I went to the beach, or that was just freshman year of college. But it's almost like they say the older you get, the more, you know, secure you get with yourself. But for me, when I got to my 20s, I just was all over the place. I don't know if it was just because my family unit had fallen apart. Like my dad had moved out. My mom was going through a difficult time. My little brother was sent to boarding school, and I was at college. And then I quit my scholarship, which sports have been the focus of my, you know, sports have been the biggest focus in my life since I can remember.
Right. And
not having volleyball there when I moved to Chapel Hill and Raleigh, I don't know if that was also part of, you know, the development of my insecurities, because what I was good at and always belonging to a team, you know, that hurt me mentally. But at the same time, it's like, well, some people don't play sports their whole life. It really can't be that. But it's just really in my 20s, I just was all over the place. I didn't know who I was or what I liked.
And I think like you've answered it. Yeah.
With both the guys, I like developed their habits. Like, well, what music do you listen to? Oh, I'll listen to that. What movies do you like? Oh, I'll like that. You like the way I dress? I'll dress that way. Like, I had no identity. None.
And you feel like this then, when you made the decision to go ahead and go in WWE and try this out, it started giving you that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's been a process, but the minute I showed up at developmental, I just, you know, poured all of my energy and emotion into that, or into, I just liked wrestling.
Yeah.
And then when Reid passed away, that definitely, you know, brought out more passion in the industry. And I don't know, I've just started to find myself through my work. And everyone's story is different, but that's really like, I find confidence through wrestling.
I totally understand that, and I think all of us see that too.
You're listening to Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Guys, we're talking to Charlotte Flair, and you can see she's a tremendous athlete. She needs somewhere good to sleep. I need somewhere good to sleep. Who doesn't need somewhere good to sleep? So let me tell you about Bear Mattress. It's designed for optimal cooling, comfort, and muscle recovery so that you can sleep better and perform at your best every day. And it's so easy. Guys, this is so awesome. All you have to do is go to BEARmattress.com. That's BEARmattress.com, and use the code GLORY50 to take $50 off your new mattress. That's GLORY50, the number 50. Now, Bear Mattress uses eco-friendly materials that was developed with insights from sleep experts, professional athletes, and engineers to create a super comfortable and supportive sleep that is up to 7 times cooler than your traditional foam mattresses. I mean, I kind of sometimes will wake up in the middle of the night and I'm sweating, and it's annoying. So this takes care of that. The Bear Mattress uses FDA-determined Silient textile technology so that your body can recover faster, sleep better, and improve your performance. Buying a mattress in a store, that can cost thousands of dollars. Take me, because I have done a lot of mattress shopping. It's awful. But Bear Mattress starts at just $500. You heard me. I went out and I actually bought a mattress that was over $2,000. I thought it was going to be great. It wasn't. I ended up having to exchange it 7 times. My back was killing me. Mattresses really do make a difference. And I love the fact that every size is under $1,000. This is awesome. So the Bear mattress is made in the USA. That's right. Go USA. Sold online and ships free right to your doorstep, making it so easy and convenient for you. Buying a Bear mattress online is completely risk-free with 100 nights in-home trial. You get 100 nights to try out the mattress, and if you don't love it, you don't even have to ship it back. They're going to come and pick it up, and they're going to refund you 100% of your money. And, of course, free shipping right to your door. That's right, 100 nights, absolutely free with no hidden charges or fees. Named the best mattress for active lifestyles by Gear Patrol. Go to bearmattress.com. That's BEAR mattress.com. And remember to use the promo code GLORY50. That's GLORY, the number 50, for $50 off your purchase. Get a good night's sleep tonight.
Now back to Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
I want to speak about your brother and in a way to actually just honor him because he was such, I had the pleasure of knowing him too. And I mean, your whole family's really meant a lot to me. You know, your dad has just been amazing. And
he told me to tell you hello before we got on the phone.
Yay. How, you know what, let's first talk about how is your dad doing? Because I know he was, went through a health scare. We all were posting pictures and prayers and all of that. How's he doing?
Oh, he's doing really well. He still has to take it pretty easy, but I am okay with that because he's actually enjoying relaxing at home and watching movies and eating his favorite food. Like,
that's awesome.
No, he's doing really well. Thank you for asking.
Good,
and I know the 30 for 30 coming out November 7th will be huge. And I'm excited for the world to see what this industry meant to him.
Yeah, and I'm just so grateful that actually, I grew up watching him, and Dad and I were actually screaming at the TV at Rick, and then to end up getting this job, and then all of a sudden he gets, because I got in the WWE first, and then he was at WCW, and then he made the jump over, and then Dad came backstage, and I'm like, oh, can you believe this, Dad? Like, he met him, and Rick couldn't have been nicer to my father as well, and I was like, this is blowing my mind. Here I was as a little kid with my dad, watching your dad, and here I am now introducing him into the ring. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
The two of you, and then watching you, in the front row and all, the two of you were so supportive for me when I was losing my dad. And I can't thank you enough for that. And I'd see you backstage, both of you. I mean, you get it. You get the connection of a daughter and their father. What has it meant to work with him so much, to get that opportunity to be on the road and get to know your dad, maybe in a way that you didn't know him before because he wasn't really necessarily, there because he was on the road so much?
It wasn't that I got to know him more. It was understanding his decisions more.
That's
when
powerful.
he retired in 2008, he had a really hard time, which I'm pretty sure is public knowledge.
Yeah.
And I could not understand why he just couldn't go out on a high note. You retire with Shawn Michaels, you have the biggest retirement ever. I mean, the whole weekend just seemed to be so, I guess, magical.
Yeah.
Being in Orlando. And it was hard after that. And I couldn't understand, like, Dad, like, why are you having such a hard time? Live your life. You had an amazing career. But now being a part of this business and understanding, there's nothing like being in the ring.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being the main event or feeling the crowd or the rush or getting ready backstage and the camaraderie. And yes, the travel is hard and you're away from your families, but there is nothing like what we do, I think, anywhere else. And he did this his whole life.
Right.
I've only done it a couple years, So now I understand his choices and decisions and why he couldn't walk away and why this still is who he is.
Yeah, I can totally get that. That's why I stayed there for so long as well. It's just, it gets in your blood. It's amazing. Going to back to your brother, what did it mean to you to have a brother like Reid? And I know this is hard, and you can talk about as much or as little. And, but I just want to honor him.
I just get so frustrated. It was like when I got to share in the book, about being married twice, like how embarrassed I am. And it's like one of the things, I get to talk about Reid in a positive light versus, the whole world only gets to see this, young boy die of a drug overdose, and they don't get to see who Reid was. Like, he was this amazing person who had an addiction problem, and it's not fair that, the media exploits only one thing because they don't know what Reid was like or what his life was like or how many lives he touched or how special he was as a human being. And it was unfortunate that he couldn't break this habit. And then I blame myself a lot because, whether I didn't give him the support he needed, because when you're dealing with someone with an addiction problem, there's certain things that you should do. And, I don't know if I was an enabler or if I didn't do the right thing or, because I got so frustrated towards the end. He was in Japan doing really well before he passed. And I just wonder had I, he asked me to promote something for him. And I didn't want to because I was just angry at him for making mistakes. And I just have a lot of guilt if I had done things differently. But I think that's my thing about the book, was getting to write my letter to him, letting him know that, what he wanted to do and become, I'm making sure happens. And, I still haven't really accepted that he's gone.
Yeah.
But it's just, I hate that you only, when it comes to, people forget that we're all human.
Yeah.
No matter what platform we have. And I know it's hard on my mom, and I know for sure hard on my mom that the only thing the world sees is her son dying of an overdose instead of, what a beautiful soul he was. So I think, getting to write the book and talk about how important he was to me and an inspiration meant a lot.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah. And it's too, like, one thing I think that I deal with the most daily was, and I think that's why I have, been single for these 2.5 years since Tom, was because Reid never got to see me reach my potential. Because when I was going through this time in my early 20s and when I moved back to Charlotte after college, Reid was kind of in the mix of me and my first husband, and I knew he hated it. He absolutely hated it, but, I'd beg him to, be nice or, be nice to him or, he makes me happy, or I'd choose him over Reid. And that I have a hard time accepting and dealing with, but he never got to see me happy or see me what I've become. And that's what I think I have the hardest time with today.
Do you believe, because I strongly believe that they're still with us. I mean, my dad is still with us. Come on, how many times have you said you feel his energy when you go down? When you go through that curtain, you feel his energy. And I know you've said that you really feel him during WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He's there with you. Absolutely. And
I know.
I know that doesn't, take away everything, but I also don't want you to beat yourself up because you can only do so much, and then you also can't enable either. And at some point, just like what you did, you found your way out of, being abused. He needed to find his way out. But when he didn't make it, like now, using this platform that you have, Charlotte, you could probably help so many people right now that are dealing with kids that are overdose. I mean, is there something that you want to say if somebody's in the same situation as you and they have a brother, a sister, or they're a parent that have someone that is, addicted? What would you share with them?
Go to Al-Anon. It's for, the family members, addicts. And if you do have family members that are addicts, you really should encourage them to get help and, follow the steps and find groups of people at these meetings that you can talk to about it. I necessarily wasn't the best at going to them when Reid was around, but had I, made the most of those opportunities that are out there, maybe the outcome would have been different. Not that losing my brother is that would have made it any easier, but a lot of people don't understand addiction, I don't think. And they don't understand the toll it takes on the addict and the toll it takes on the family member.
For sure.
And especially for parents.
Yeah, I know.
Siblings, 100%, because, I have a friend who has a brother, and I try to be as empathetic as possible, because now that I've lived it, I get so stern when someone asks me. It's almost like I need to change my tone, but I'm like, no, they have to learn on their own. They have to hit rock bottom. They have to, they have to work the steps. They can't be innate. There's all these terms.
Right.
And I'm like, they have to do this, this, and this. And I think it's more me telling them, wishing that I had done the steps or I had worked the program as well, because it takes a strong, not that my family wasn't strong, but because my parents were divorced and we were all on different fronts, I really think it helps an addict if they have a unit that knows the program.
Right.
Does that makes
absolutely.
I'm trying
knowledge
to think
is
of
power.
words.
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
In everything. Whether you're even when my dad was dealing with cancer, we went into therapy as a family to find out how can we be there for him, how can we help him when he really realized that he was dying. I mean, that was tough.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to handle it, so we did. We went through therapy to try to get the answer. So I think it's for anything and everything, whether you're dealing with a parent or someone who's got Alzheimer's, or dementia, or you said, addiction or abuse or, sexual harassment. Nobody is born on this earth with a rule book on how to handle everything, which is why you also can't beat yourself up, because you didn't know any better, Charlotte. Your dad didn't know any better. And you guys also were dealing with your own things. So
no, for sure. And I think when it comes to addiction, I know for me, it was hard to realize that a lot of decisions might have been because, well, this makes me feel bad. And that maybe not be what's best for the person.
And further explain that.
Because it's like with anything, like someone having cancer or it's really about what's the decision you make on how it's because of how you feel inside. But when really that's not how it's not going to, how do I explain this?
Are you trying to say that basically in a situation like this, try to put your own feelings aside and understand what the person is going through. And then, but that, again, that is a trait you got to learn from dealing with, whether it's a group or, personal therapy or something. And, okay, I don't completely understand why this person is making these choices that are not in his best interest. And I see him spiraling out of control, and it makes me mad because I can't identify with that, but how then can teach me how I can identify with that so that I can better, learn how to deal with that, how to not enable, or when's the right time to enable, when's the right time not to enable, So I think that's the biggest lesson that you guys are sharing right now with people out there. I mean, it's so tragic what happened, and now try to figure out, how do I make this into something positive where I can help others, and then that way it doesn't happen to them?
100%. And I think, you're not alone was also, especially talking about my brother and his addiction, but in an abusive relationship, is you feel very much alone. Like no one understands you. Yeah. Or no one else feels the way you do, because that's how I felt during that time. But it's about like, you're not alone, and it's not your fault.
Right. And that's why it's important for us to have these conversations, so people hear this and go, oh, I thought this only happened to me. Like I think of this today. I'm on TV every Tuesday as this larger than life character, but just 6.5 years ago, I was personal training, and my whole life revolved around whether someone was mad at me or not. Yeah.
But the highs, the lows, did I make the bed properly? Was the kitchen cleaned right? I was working so much at the studio, I was falling asleep early, watching TV because I was just so exhausted from my job. Yeah. But, someone getting mad at you for just every little thing, and you putting your self-worth on someone else's opinion. You're not alone. Right.
I hear you. Thank God you got out of that. And I thank God that you have this platform, because, I always say this show is bigger than me. And I feel like your platform is even bigger than you. You have been given this. I mean, you have fought hard for it, girl. You work so hard, and I see that. And I see how much you care, even before a match. I've seen where you're backstage and you're just, the nerves are getting to you. And I remember stopping you one time and going, okay, what's going on here? Relax, enjoy it, right? You got to enjoy this journey. You got to enjoy these. Yeah. And I remember you turned to me and you said, it's because I want it to be so perfect. And I want to do it right. What does being perfect mean to you? Why is that so important to you?
I don't know. So I'm trying to work on my inner dialogue, because I am super hard on myself. But I don't want to change that because it got me where I am today. But I think the book has made me extremely vulnerable, which I have worked so hard the last 5 years to present this non-vulnerable, non-relatable character. But it's feeling like I have to be perfect. And once I can realize that it's okay to make mistakes, every time I do, I grow.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's, living up to my dad's last name. I don't know if it's still the chip on my shoulder because, there is the constant comparison between me and him. So I'm like, you know what? Yes, I'm his daughter, but I'm perfect too. I don't know what my obsession for perfection is, but it's there. And I work every day on realizing that you don't have to be perfect, but at the same time, that's what, drives me to want to be the very best.
And I get you. I totally understand where you're coming from, because I struggled from that for many, many years. And when I would make a mistake ring announcing, girlfriend, I beat myself up so bad. I'll never forget, like, I would make a mistake and then I'd sit back and I felt like all eyes were on me and everyone was judging me and everyone's saying, she's not good or whatever. And one day it just clicked and I realized going, wait a minute, not every, and the best basketball players make every free throw, not, the best, quarterbacks make every single throw into the end zone or every pass that they throw, and yet they are considered great. I'm going, wait, this is not a game of being perfect. That life is not like that. So why are we expected to be perfect in every single announcement or you and every move that you make in the ring? It is not possible. We are not machines. And I think that when I embraced that and just said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and do my best. That's all I can do. That's all I have control over is to do my best, to have the best intention and to work hard. Everything else, boom, whatever. It lies, And I feel like if you can get to that point, and I know you're getting there, and the reason I know you're getting there is because you've become and you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and that's the very first step.
Yeah.
When you do that, you start creating balance in your life. You're growing so much right now. And I love that you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable. I can't thank you enough for that. I know that the listeners have been embracing this interview like crazy because you've taught so many things in this one interview. It's really remarkable. And I do want to touch on before we finish, on two things. I know that you have a connection and we're, working this month with breast cancer and trying to bring awareness. My mother, as I've said before, she's a 28-year survivor. So I want to say to anybody that has had breast cancer that there is hope out there. And it's wild because my friend who's in her 30s she already had breast cancer in her 20s. It came back now in her 30s. She just had surgery last week. It's just insane what's happening right now, and I don't know why, but we just need to keep raising money and awareness. What is your connection to breast cancer?
I don't have my mother didn't have it, but my sister, her mother had it, and my sister underwent surgery for precaution.
Oh yeah, kind of like Angelina Jolie, where she removed both of her breasts.
Yes.
Okay.
I just know from hearing my sister that she had her daughter tested, my niece.
Yeah.
I think it's more her sharing about her experience, and the awareness of it was what I learned most. Is being aware of getting tested, making sure you get your mammograms, following up, knowing if it's in your family history. Because I never thought about it until my sister told me what her mom went through.
Right. It's crazy. It's like, if you don't even personally have it, someone who has or who's gone through it. It is insane. It's 1 out of 8 women are getting breast cancer. 1 out of 8. You look at a stadium full of people, that's a lot of people getting breast cancer, and also men. So this is why we continue every single year to talk about this. And yes, please, the reason that my mother survived is because she did go get a mammogram, and then it showed that she, had a tumor in there, and then went in and removed it and all, and then she had chemotherapy. Had she not taken it upon herself to do that, she would have missed so much in my life, and I would have missed having my mom. So I appreciate that. So my last question to you is, what has it been like to work with Natalya? I know you guys have a history there, and you've got this whole thing now. You're going for the title, for the SmackDown title. Now, let me just bring everybody up. If you win this, or when you win, right? Come on, we got to think positive. When you win, you will be the first female in the whole entire company that would have won the NXT Women's Championship. You were the last reigning Divas Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and now, when you get this, you will be the SmackDown Women's Championship. You would be the only one that have gotten all 4. How does that feel? Look at that smile. I see that smile. I love it.
Well, let's go back to Natty.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that I would not be on this podcast with you, be where I am today. And I try to tell her this all the time, and I think she doesn't really understand how I really am.
She's modest.
I put this in the book, Second Nature, that has she not given me that match in NXT and brought out that confidence and the performer that was in me, I wouldn't be where I am today, because that match launched my career and gave me the opportunity to show what I could do, which opened everyone else's eyes. And that night I became Charlotte, not just Ric Flair's daughter. And that wouldn't have happened had Natty, sorry, my nose is stuffy, Naughty, had not paid it forward and come to NXT and put her heart into that match. I mean, that was a main roster talent coming down to NXT before NXT became what it is today.
Yeah.
That's what Natty did. And that match will go down.
For sure.
And be remembered for years to come.
Absolutely.
And that gave me the platform to where I am today. So to know that our career has come full circle, it's pretty special to know where I am today, and to have her have the title and her be the bad guy and me the good guy. It's all cool, but it's really more just knowing that I made it because of her, and now I'm having the opportunity on the main roster to have that go, even though we did it again. We had it last year, but the roles are reversed, and it's always special when I get to face her. But, you know, the one thing I will say about Natty is people have to understand that for her to be where she is and how many years, and the biggest thing, and I think in our industry, is respect.
Yeah.
And that's what Natty has. I mean, she is a role model inside, but more importantly, outside of the ring with her level of class.
I love her too. I totally agree, and I love that. And that's where I want to tell you, though, you would have never gotten these opportunities and won so many championships and all of that had you not earned them, had you not shown the talent that you are. Just know, I'm telling you, I am speaking right now for the entire universe, and not that you have to have anybody's, you're never going to get 100% everybody's stamp of approval. Just accept that, okay? I'm telling you.
I have to learn that.
Just accept it. It is never going to happen. But the majority is already going to go, oh my gosh, no, this girl does not have to compare herself to her dad anymore. You have earned it on your own. The respect that you have received is because you literally have worked for it, and people see your hard work, they see your talent. You are incredible. But what I love is the person that you are, your heart. From the day I met you, as you were a little girl.
I know, it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I remember us going overseas, and you were having a hard time. You actually came, just with the group on traveling with us, and I remember you looking at me going, I just need to talk to someone, and you spoke to me that night. I never shared it with anyone because that was private between you and I. But I got to tell you, I'm so proud of the woman that you have become.
Thank you, Lilian.
Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
I definitely am. And I love that you are also helping out. There's an auction Monday night right after Raw, tonight right after Raw. It is something that Mick Foley has put together. And that is something very dear to my heart because my parents were actually born in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, it's a tough thing that's gone on there. And with the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico, infrastructures that are so old have fallen apart. And unfortunately, it takes time to rebuild these because the infrastructures, are so old. A lot of my family, thank God, has told me that they're fine. They have light. They have running water. They're good. It's the old infrastructures that have really fallen apart. So Mick Foley put together this auction that's going on tonight right after Raw. And all of us, I donated 2 outfits. And I want you to talk about what you've donated to raise money for Puerto Rico.
Okay, so I donated my gear that I wore at the Fastlane pay-per-view before WrestleMania 32 against Brie.
Wow.
And Yes.
Oh,
so
my gosh, that's amazing.
Mick contacted me with his cause, and I couldn't be more honored to be a part of the auction.
Yeah.
And I hope that we make a difference. I know Becky's auctioning her gear as well. I
That's
know
right.
Kevin Owens is. And I hear you're auctioning 2 outfits. So I think it's very important.
For
and
sure.
if that's, how we can help out, I think it's great.
I love it. I love it. So, again, thank you so much for sharing your story. And everyone, get Second Nature, the legacy of Ric Flair and the rise of Charlotte. Amazing, amazing read. Thank you for opening yourself up, honey. I love you, and best of luck to you in the future.
I love you too, Lily.
All right.
Thank you.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed that interview, but let me tell you something really, really quick that you are going to want to hear. We've all seen a mouth-watering, healthy smoothie or acai bowl on, let's say, Instagram or even Facebook, and thought to yourself, that's the kind of thing that I should be eating. But who has time to make that every day? Don't you always ask yourself that? Wouldn't it be great if you could just get that picture-perfect nutrient without having to hit a farmer's market or chop up a million fruits and veggies? Can't stand it. Now you can get all of those superfoods super fast with Daily Harvest. That's it. That's your answer. Daily Harvest, they send superfood eats straight to your door with your choice of smoothies, activated breakfast bowls, or nice cream vegan sundaes. Each single serving comes ready to blend or heat. It's that simple. Now, cups are stored in the freezer, and they're always ready whenever you are. Their produce is organic and unrefined and looks amazing as it tastes. You can actually see all the whole ingredients when you open up the cup. This is so good for you, and it also tastes amazing because Daily Harvest freezes all their ingredients at peak freshness, sealing in their nutritional value. Preparing each cup is insanely easy. All you have to do is just add water, or if you're feeling fancy, you can substitute other liquids like coconut or almond milk. So either way, your Daily Harvest cup is ready in just 30 seconds. That's fast. So now you can eat it right now, right when you need it. Go to daily-harvest.com and enter the promo code GLORY to get 3 free items off your first box. That's right. It's so simple. Just use the promo code GLORY for 3 free Daily Harvest cups at daily-harvest.com. That's daily-harvest.com. Wow. I'm speechless in a way. Speechless is kind of a weird word because then you follow it up with words, but I'm just saying it's incredible when someone can be that vulnerable and open up, and you start seeing what's really happening inside and the struggles that they're going through. Even though she's having the career that she's having in the WWE, how much pain she's still going through. Sean, how did that impact you listening to all of that?
Communication is so important. It just circles back to everything. And, it was kind of difficult for her to talk about some of this stuff, but you're right. The more that you talk about it, the more that you acknowledge it, the more light gets shown on it. And whether that's having to bring attention to somebody else's behavior, or calling attention to yourself, saying, "Hey, I need some help with this.
Yeah,
I need some emotional help here." And the more that we acknowledge our own experiences and put our experiences out in the open, the more we realize that we're so much alike, all of us. Like she says about obviously, that all this stuff is so difficult to talk about, but she's like, domestic violence specifically, you feel like it's partly your fault.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I totally get it. I mean, there's even things that I did in my relationships where things weren't going too well, someone dating, and I would be like, oh my God, why is he reacting this way when I've done nothing but support him and all that? And I realized, like she said, this has nothing to do with me. Luckily, I got out. I didn't care enough about that guy. But if it was somebody that I really fell head over heels over, It's harder. But it's something you got to do, man. You got to look out for you.
It's so hard to acknowledge the truth within yourself, it's confidence and, your self-dialogue can be so difficult at times.
Oh, my God, it's awful. They say the amount of things that you say in your head, like thousands and thousands and thousands of things that you say in your head every day. And you think about it, you start literally pay attention to the thoughts that are going on in your head. What are you saying to yourself? And how much conversation are you having, right? And, oh, my God, you really do start getting overwhelmed. You're like, oh, my God, just shut up. If it's not something positive, shut up. Because it can eat you up.
Or do the opposite.
Exactly.
Go write a letter. Write yourself a letter.
Yeah.
I do that to myself all the time. And this is part of the reason why I'm so hesitant towards the keyboard for Twitter, and because I always feel like I'm probably going to feel differently about this a little bit later, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm probably going to feel differently about it later. So, but writing things down, you get really mad at somebody, or you want to say something, or you want to let your feelings be known. Go let your feelings be known. Go write off that text message, but write it in your notes and then delete it. But
exactly.
That it really even if you don't have somebody to talk to, confide in, or if it's something that is really personal, getting it out, writing it down, reading it back to yourself. That way you get to kind of re-look at your thoughts and be like, well, that's not really right. That's not really fair to call that, my fault here, or, so I'm loving this show. We so many people, we're all different. We all come from different walks of life, and
right.
all of our journeys are different. And like she was saying, your highs are going to be different, your lows are going to be different, but we're all experiencing the same thing here.
None of us have a textbook on how to survive this life that we're in.
No, but we have podcasts where other people can talk about that kind of thing that you're going through, and you can listen along and be like, yeah, okay, you're right. I need to,
This is happening to me. Let me adjust this. So, in this one podcast, we talked about domestic violence. We've talked about substance abuse and how that affected her and her family and her brother. And then we've also touched on breast cancer, which continuing because it's affecting 1 in 8 women.
Losing her brother at 25 years old.
Oh my gosh, I know. Dealing with that. I lost my dad, but he was 87. It's different. It was hard. So hard, but it's not me losing my sister when she's 25. I don't know what I would do with losing my sister, So I don't even want to think about that. But really also appreciating every day. People, I can't say that enough. And I will do another whole podcast on, let's just say, even just how people are feeling about birthdays. I think it's crazy because not everybody's guaranteed a birthday. And I think about that all the time when everything happened in, Vegas. And I'm like, these people did not get their next birthdays. So it's that simple. When I say appreciate every day, it really is that. Because we don't know what's happening. And if you're in a situation, you have to be a champion for yourself in order to get the help that you need. And it starts with you. And then don't be embarrassed because everybody is going through something. So that's the last thing that to do. Guys, I can't thank you enough. And I want you to please, if you know someone that's going through substance abuse, if you know someone that's going through domestic violence or anything like that, please tell them to listen to this podcast. This is the step one of them not feeling so alone and not feeling so powerless. So please spread this around. Make sure that you guys rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That really does help the show so that we can get more listeners to this show. Give it 5 stars if you feel it's 5 stars. You know what? If you feel it's 1 star, I hope that you won't. But I also want you to be honest and just give us the rating that you feel that this show deserves. We're trying to do our best here. Make sure that you follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. And again, to subscribe, you go to Apple Podcasts, you go to podcastone.com or the brand new Podcast One app. What's great about subscribing is that you will instantly, as soon as the show is put up, you will instantly get a message. Boom. Now you can listen to it. So it gives you the direct link, all of that. And again, it helps the show. It makes it more popular, makes it more people will listen to the show. And I think that that's my whole goal. My whole goal is to spread this around, to make an impact, and using this platform and make a difference in people's lives and just try to help, right? Just try to help us all figure this out, because I know I've learned a lot with all my guests. And a way for you guys to get some help if you need it. I'm going to give some numbers right now. If you are in a position of domestic violence, make sure you contact National Domestic Violence Hotline. It is anonymous, so you can get all the help that you need right then and there. 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. If you are in a substance abuse problem and you want to reach out for some help, I really hope that you do get some questions answered. That is the Substance Abuse National Hotline is 1-800-622-HELP. That's 1-800-622-HELP. Remember, all of this is anonymous. So you can just take the first step. Do not become a victim. And only you can do that. Thank God Charlotte took that step. Let it be you that you take that step today. If you guys also want to help out with breast cancer, all you have to do is go to Komen.org to help out and find out ways on how you can even volunteer. It's not necessarily always about money. So there's many ways there that you can help out. But above all.
Also, if you don't feel so empowered to call a number, if you don't feel like that's your place, take the Titus ONeil approach and send him a text message. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And even if it's just that simple.
I love you and I believe in you. I'll never forget that. I love you and I will believe in you.
Whether this is you struggling with something or somebody that you know struggling with something, if you need help, you got to ask for it. Reach out to your family members. We're only here for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
And if this is somebody that you know, and maybe it's not too close to you to where you don't feel like, send them a text message. I love you. I'm here for you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for listening to it. I know that this was kind of heavy, but it's these conversations that we need to have in order to change what's going on in our world, in order to help each other out. This is a way for us to bind together because there has really been a lot of splitting in this country. And we have to come together, people. We need each other. All right, guys. So just remember this, more important than anything, much peace, love, and passion. And remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough.